Welcome back to Star Wars Nerds Unite, a discussion and review podcast focused on the Star Wars universe. I'm your host, Tim vanautreve. Joining me, as always, are Josh the Tosh, internet famous Mason.
Hello.
And Jennifer vanautreve.
Hi.
Hello. And Max is here again, too. Hi, Max. Yep.
He's
there he is.
Got a runny nose and a cough. A little bit.
Today, we're going to be talking about the movie Solo.
A Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story, right.
I don't know why they put that on the end.
It's so that you don't get confused.
That it's, yeah.
That it might not be Star Wars and it might not be...
a story.
Right.
Yeah. It's been... So I just happened to listen to our last episode, the beginning of our last episode, because Job was asking me what Jen sounded like on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would he ask that?
He just... I don't think he thought you would sound like the way you sound in real life. I don't know. I have no idea.
That's funny.
So the last time we podcasted was May 4th.
Oh my gosh.
It's almost June 4th. Tomorrow's June 4th.
I had a really bad couple of weeks.
Yeah. I'm sure any week that affects her does not affect me in some way.
Not in the same way.
No, in a very different, also terrible way. Oh boy. Yeah. So I feel pretty good. About getting back on track. Yana went back home.
That was sad.
Sort of. She's in Las Vegas living it up right now. Her parents,
for a few more days.
Yeah, her parents went, took her to they came here and we hung out with them for a week, and Max got super sick. He got strep throat. We had to have like 8 graduation parties, attend 12 graduations.
Because we celebrate every other grade, there's a graduation, it feels like.
Yeah, it's nuts. Well, anyway, we're back. We're better than ever. Solo. I was looking at the news, and Solo's not doing so hot in the box office.
Yeah.
It was number 1 this weekend, but it just has really, even though it's number one, it's not making very much.
No. And the budget was super inflated because of the director replacement. So they had to get, it was like $250, something like that.
Who knows?
I think that was what I read.
They made $65 million this weekend.
Oh, I read much less than that. It was like 20-something million.
Maybe it was both weekends together.
It's definitely not that.
I just saw a thing on Amazon Echo that said $65 million. I don't know.
I don't think it matters, other than as a statement.
Disney doesn't actually lose money on it in the long haul, right?
Oh, no, I'm sure they'll recoup. They'll make money on toys and DVDs and
shirts
and tie-ins and all this stuff.
Yeah, but there's like a negative stigma put out in the news media. The news media has panned it. The movie's really good.
I think Disney's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right.
All right. Spoilers abound.
About Solo
and the review. Are we gonna do a standard synopsis? Something that's less than standard, perhaps?
I don't think it needs a real long synopsis. It's
Max,
you watched it today.
I did watch it today.
So do you want to synopsize it, or was it too confusing?
No, it wasn't too confusing. So it starts out on Corellia. And I don't really know how old Han is supposed to be.
19, I think.
Young, very young.
Young, in his teens.
There's a lot of, it says it's like a lawless time. Corellia has a lot of crime and a lot of orphans.
I've been to Corellia, and it's much nicer than they portrayed it in the movie.
Yeah.
It looks very dark.
I think this was just a part of Corellia.
Oh, okay. Where the shipyards were.
They're in like... There's all these kids like living on the streets, and they kind of have to get involved with these crime syndicates to steal during the day so they have shelter at night type thing. And Han is there. Him and Kira.
Who's Kira?
His love interest. She's been living with him on Corellia. They're together, and he was trying to do some deal for their crime boss, who whatever her name was. but it went bad, and all he got out of it was this little power source thing. What's it called?
Well, that's what he was supposed to get. It didn't go bad. He got what he was supposed to get, but he lied to her and said that he didn't because he was going to use it to get off of Corellia.
Okay. I thought that he was supposed to get more
material
than that.
called coaxium.
Okay.
Which is rocket fuel.
So
Hyperspace rocket fuel specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So Han and Kira have a plan. They've been trying to find a way to like buy themselves off the planet. They have to bribe like an Imperial officer to get them access off, and so he finally has what they need, and there's like a chase to get to the airport, whatever. It's not really an airport, but they're being chased and they just barely get there in time. But then right when they're getting through the gate, Kira gets pulled back in, and she just tells him to go on without her. So he signs up for the Imperial Navy, thinking he'll be able to become a pilot and then get back to Kira as fast as he can.
Holy cow.
There
It's
is
like a
just so
7-alarm
many
fire.
sirens going off.
The sirens were going off before we started recording, and it was going off for
There
a
must
few
be.
minutes
I wonder
before
if there's
that.
a fire.
There almost certainly is.
That's a lot of sirens.
Yeah, it is.
So he got kicked out of the Navy, and then he's just in some other, I don't know, he's like a ground troop.
He's a mud trooper.
Yeah, Mimban.
And it doesn't really explain where they are or what they're doing, but they're in some battle.
Did you notice it didn't even show who they were fighting?
Yeah,
'cause it doesn't matter.
It just like some
I know,
battle.
but I kind of took it to mean like they didn't want to show whether they were killing humans, like killing people, or
aliens. Yeah,
or
'cause it
anything
doesn't
like
matter.
that. Well, and also they didn't want to vilify Han in any way, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was killing innocent soldiers
Yeah.
or something.
So while he's in the middle of this battle, he kind of gets in with this band of smugglers who like are pretending to also be Imperial troopers or soldiers, whatever. And that's where that's what one of them, their leader is Woody Harrelson. So he convinces them to let him join their group. I'm just realizing how long this movie was.
It was really long.
I don't know if I can do like a
Okay,
very good
yeah,
synopsis because
so
I'm
don't-
taking forever.
We don't need a good one.
Right.
Okay,
You're
so
already going way too
all right,
Yeah.
so Han gets in with these smugglers.
Not yet.
Okay, before he gets in with the smugglers, he tries to get in, and they're like, "No, we don't want you." And they turn him into the Imperials. They are like, "Let's give him to the Beast," and they throw him down this shaft, and that's where he meets Chewie. And they're like, "We haven't fed him in 3 days."
Chewie tries to eat him.
Yeah, Chewie's like
It seems that
Oh.
way.
Yeah. And then
savage down here in this like mud pit, and he's all chained up, and there's like I don't know if it's like dead bodies or just like armor down there. You can tell he's eating people down there.
We don't know for sure, but it seems that way.
Well, they said they haven't fed him in 3 days.
I think they were just spooking
Maybe
him.
they're feeding him dog food or something on those
Or
days.
maybe he just got there 3 days ago.
Oh, yeah, I guess. He looked pretty, I don't know, shabby. So, it turns out Han can speak Wookiee, so he
Tree Wook.
talks to him, and they have a plan to like escape, and so they escape together, and then they get in with Woody Harrelson's group of smugglers.
Who were there to steal a ship. The whole reason they were there was
Right.
to steal a specific kind of ship.
For equipment to hijack a train that was filled
A
with
train
coaxium,
car, yeah.
and the heist goes bad.
And yeah, it's
Woody
like Woody
Harrelson's girl dies.
Yeah, it's Woody and his girl Val, and then what kind of creature is the other guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Some other guy who's the pilot.
It was
Pilot and Val both die.
It was weird to me that Woody didn't mourn Val, like hardly at all.
Well, they're mercenaries.
I realized that, but like they had what seemed like a long-standing relationship, and he seemed to move on very quickly. I realized later that was largely part of his character,
Right.
but at the same time, I kind of expected a little more because he barely acknowledged it at first.
Well, I mean, he outright said that he shouldn't trust anybody, including Val. So I think it was always at arm's length type of relationship with her.
I see.
There's a famous scene where Han gets his DL-44 blaster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just gets it handed to him.
Yeah,
And
from
he's
Beckett.
he's like, oh,
Beckett's
thanks.
Woody's character, for those who haven't seen the movie and are listening to the spoilers.
um.
It used to, it seems like it was a rifle. Like
Yeah,
it's like
and
it
he
was
just starts taking it
convertible,
apart and then gives him the end.
turns it into a pistol and chucks it at him.
So when they're trying to hijack this train car, this group of pirates comes along, and everybody, like Woody and Val, they all know who they are. They're like, oh, they're trying to steal it from us. They're trying to steal our...
It's Enfys Nest is the person, the leader of this marauder group.
And so these pirates, they're all on their own individual speeders, and they get a few of the cables that are connected to this train car that they're trying to they
successfully stole.
Yeah, Han's group has this train car like suspended with these cables, and the pirate people come and they get some of the cables, so they're like pulling back and forth on this train car, and Han is flying at that point because the other pilot died, and he could just try to keep pulling from him, but he's like, no, we're not going to make it, and he yells at Chewie to release the cables, and so they release it, and they've lost it, and then they land, and Beckett is like, you idiot, you coward, why would you do this? And he's like, you don't know what you did. And it turns out that Crimson Dawn, is that their name?
Yeah.
Hired Beckett's group to come and steal this. So now they owe them all this money, or they're going to be killed.
Enfys Nest.
That's what I said.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
That part really, really surprised me, that Han was like, nope, not going to make it. Let's just cut our losses. And because that seems like so different
Why?
than him.
Well, it
Because
seems
he usually
very
seems
much like
so
Han.
reckless.
Han always drops the load.
Yeah. When
Really?
he gets in trouble from Jabba.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that was
I
part of
see.
the whole deal.
Oh, I don't know. It just seemed surprising. He seems like he's always taking risks.
He takes risks up to a point. But I think he
Doesn't want to die.
recognizes when his life's on the line. Acts accordingly.
So, Beckett, so they go to meet,
Dryden Voss.
and that's the person who sent Beckett on this mission. And they come to his yacht, which is this vertical flying ship.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, bless
It
you.
looks like a blade in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside, it's just kind of this like fancy party. Everybody's dressed up really fancy and swanky, and Kira is there, and you find out she works for
Dryden.
what's his name? Dryden
Voss.
Voss.
Seems like a sort of slave type deal. She's like branded.
Yeah, her wrist is branded with the Crimson Dawn symbol. Maybe one of you guys should finish the synopsis, because I'm
So
he's
they are
distracting
going to
me.
get killed by Dryden, and Han comes up with this crazy scheme to go to Kessel and steal a bunch of raw coaxium, and then take
Because
it.
it's worth more.
Well, it's just that it will be protected less,
Well, it wasn't just that. You could steal more, or like
right?
more. There's more value per pound or whatever.
Yeah. So they need to go to Kessel. They convince Dryden that they can pull this thing off, where they go to Kessel, steal the raw coaxium, and then take it to a refinery planet.
And they have like almost no time to get there because it's so unstable.
Yeah.
They have to do it really, really fast. And
I thought you were done.
well, I don't know.
left out a detail.
So and Kira is really the one Dryden is like, well, what do you think? Do you trust this guy? And she's like, yes, I trust him. So then he sends Kira along with them to go do it.
Right. And so they need a ship.
Right.
Because they don't have a ship.
They go to a cantina.
And
Lando's there.
Kira knew Lando.
Yeah, she was like, okay, I know this guy. And she starts talking him up, and like he's like the most fabulous person she's ever met. And Hana's like, okay, we get it. And then it's Lando. And they're playing Sabacc.
Yeah, and Lando cheats to win. We find out.
Mm-hmm. But Han doesn't realize he cheated yet.
Well, he was playing for the Falcon. He actually
sorta.
He bet an imaginary ship he didn't have. Han did.
And Lando bet a real ship that he didn't have. Because it was currently impounded.
Right. And
on this planet.
This is when Lando first called Han.
Yeah.
He did that every time.
Yeah, he did it to annoy him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. It also explained the weirdness with Empire.
Yeah, some of it. They eventually convince Lando to go along. And like I said, his ship's impounded. The Falcon is impounded. They have to break it out. But they ultimately decide, or get away, and they head towards Kessel. And they have to travel through, I can't remember what it's called. It's not the Maw yet, but it's something else. It's like this giant galactic cloud that there's only a specific path through. And they're kind of setting up a later scene. But they get to Kessel, and Lando has this really weird droid. L337, who is like, I don't even know how to describe it, but she's she's kind of like a droid feminist, but she's like a droid. A droidist.
Droidist.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and it's heavily insinuated that Lando and this droid have some sort of physical relationship, and they're in love with each other.
More than just insinuated. She literally says it works.
Right. That's an insinuation.
She says she thinks that Lando's in love with her, but she doesn't
feel the same way.
She doesn't want him like that.
Yeah.
Max keeps trying to grab the mic. So when you hear all that weird ruffling, that was him.
Sorry. Let go, buddy.
Kessel is run by the Pike Syndicate, so we get to see some Pikes. But ultimately, they cause a droid riot.
Did you see those? Did you see the polybag minifigures they're making out of those?
I saw
the Kessel Run or the Kessel figures.
I saw the head. It's very cool.
It's hold on.
Well, I can keep talking.
Okay, yeah.
L3 starts a droid revolution on Kessel, and
the droids start releasing all of the slaves.
Right. And Han and Chewie go down and steal.
See it?
What about it?
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones with the base.
Yeah.
I have all three that have come out so far.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready for the next one.
From a collector aspect.
And then there's the Kessel mine worker as well.
Yeah, you accidentally advanced.
Oh.
Anyways.
No, it changed apps.
There's a big fracas that happens. Chewbacca finds from some other Wookiees and helps them out. And
those Wookiees looked old.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the face looked really gaunt and weird.
Han gets
Speaking
the
of Wookiees.
coaxium, and they get out, and for some reason L3 is like being stupid and ends up getting shot up. So then Lando freaks out and goes to get the carcass of L3.
Well, she's not totally gone yet.
Well,
she's
okay.
still kind of there, and so he thinks he can save
Whatever.
her. But
She's
then
dead.
he gets shot.
Then he gets shot, and Han has to save him. But ultimately, they get out. And because L3 is dead-ish, and Lando is so distraught, Han and Chewie get to fly the Falcon.
Well, Lando's shot. His arm's shot, too. So he
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
There's way too much maneuvering that needs to happen.
They didn't know yet. They didn't know they needed to maneuver yet. They get off of Kessel, and sure enough, the Empire shows up.
Sure enough. In the little path that they have, there's a big Star Destroyer.
The Star Destroyer takes up like the entire path.
It's such a cool scene.
Yeah, it is.
So they go
into the maelstrom, basically. because it's their only way to escape. And the big hero is L3. They end up wiring her brain into the Falcon because she has like the galaxy's best Navicomputer, I guess.
Yeah, she has like the best database of the hyperspace lanes and whatever else. They
end up plotting a route through this maelstrom that's going to get them to this. I can't remember where they're going. This planet that has a refinery on it.
And that beast from episode 1 somehow ended up in the maelstrom.
It's
Underwater beast. Oh,
it's a different beast.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a weird space squid thing. A kraken, a space kraken.
Yeah.
That they end up in the maw, which ends up just looking like a fiery black hole, sort of. And they have to use they have to put raw coaxium in the engine to get away. Because that's how they trapped this monster, the space kraken, is they get it sucked into the gravity well of the maw.
Well, Han releases the escape pod to kind of trick it, and so the escape pod's going towards like the gravitational pulling center,
right?
Whatever, and so then the monster goes after that, and so it's kind of holding them off a little bit. And then
Han says he's got a good feeling about this.
Yeah.
And then they just put like a drop of the coaxium. What's the matter?
Yep. All right.
Also, the radar dish flies off the Falcon.
Yeah, they lost the radar dish
again.
And the Falcon takes a lot of damage throughout this whole situation,
which explains why it's looks like such a hunk of junk
compared to the last. Because when you see it the first time, it's very new looking,
and by the time it lands,
it's like falling apart.
On the place where they have to get get the coaxium refined, it's basically like when a car's wheels fall off. That's what happened to the Falcon.
Yeah. They get there. They start refining all the coaxium, and Enfys Nest shows up.
Whoa!
And there's a big scene, the one that they used as a promo. That's really it's a very interesting scene. But Lando ends up flying away on the Falcon, abandoning Han and Beckett and Kira and Chewie. And we find out that Enfys Nest is just a little girl, a teenage girl
with a lot of freckles,
and her band of marauders are the whole reason they want the coaxium is to fight the Empire. And the Crimson Dawn are just going to sell it to the Empire. So that's why they keep trying to break up Beckett's operation. So they come up with a plan. Han's like, yeah, I'm going to help him because there's a whole theme throughout the movie where Han is trying to act like he's a smuggler bad guy, and he has no, no allegiance to anything. But
he always does the right thing.
Yeah. So Beckett leaves, and Han and Chewie agree to help the Marauders. And Kira helps as well. They come up with this plan where they're going to take the refined coaxium onto Dryden's ship, but they hit a gun inside Han's blaster, and they're going to kill everybody. Or they basically gave the real coaxium, or they're going to give the coaxium to the Marauders. Lots of things happen. Beckett double crosses Han. And then
Han fools everybody.
He pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. Kira ends up killing Dryden. And then Han and Beckett are leaving this ship.
Beckett escapes with the coaxium. Han goes after him. Right. Chewie was carrying the coaxium.
Right, because Beckett had him held up. Yep.
And Kira and Han share a moment, and Kira's like, "Go, I'm right behind you. I'm gonna take this ruby.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to buy our ship and run away." And Han leaves, and then she bolts.
Well, first she assumes leadership of the Crimson Dawn, basically, or this Dryden's cell of the Crimson Dawn.
Steals his ship. She's got the pleasure yacht now.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
she
she doesn't really steal it.
well, it's hers now, right?
No,
Only the strong may survive.
it's not her. She takes it back to the real man behind the curtain.
Who's what? Who's who?
Do you know who it is?
Darth Maul?
It's
Yeah.
Darth Maul!
Yeah, there's a Darth Maul cameo.
I did not expect to see Darth Maul in this
No,
movie.
it's kind of way out of left field.
Were you surprised?
Yeah.
You didn't read a bunch of spoilers online?
No, so like I said, there weren't really any spoilers until like the movie was screening for the press.
Huh.
So
Wow, how'd they do that?
I don't know. Just nobody cared, I guess. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. There was almost no spoilers. Very, very little stuff got out of the actual production. So yeah, she calls Darth Maul, and well, he's not Darth Maul anymore. He's just Maul.
Maul.
And he's like, "Yeah, you can join my team if you bring me that pleasure craft back." And so that's what she does. She goes to Dathomir.
Well, that wasn't really what he was saying. He was just saying,
Basically what he said.
come here, I want to talk to you
Right.
about some stuff.
Yeah. And Han and Beckett have a standoff. And Han ends up shooting Beckett.
He shot first.
He did.
Han shot first.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was lots of little Easter
There
eggs
was
like that in there.
tons of them. Little callbacks and
Yeah, the good feeling about it, the radar dish, the
How he got
Han
his
shot him
name.
first. Well, how he got his name wasn't a callback, right?
well, I mean, it was a thing.
Well, it was a thing.
So you never know what his name originally was, right?
No,
I don't think he does.
I think he does. I think he just doesn't want to.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're
He
right.
talks about his
He
father
talked about his
being
dad.
a shipwright.
Yeah,
His dad worked in a factory or something.
At the shipyard.
Building ships.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Maybe-
what a shipwright does.
Maybe he lied about that.
I don't think that he did, just because he was talking to Kira about it. But anyways, Han gets his name a silly way. There's just lots of little callbacks and fan service, I guess is the right word. Then the movie ends with Han and Chewie finding Lando on another sabacc game. And Han steals Lando's cheat.
His card, his ace up his sleeve.
Yeah.
Because this time he actually can tell that he's cheating. He sees the little thing under his.
Right.
Before he didn't see it.
So he
He-
brings him in for a hug and steals it
the
real
card.
fast. But Lando doesn't know.
It sets him up and then wins the Falcon.
And then he goes
And
to
it's his.
Tatooine.
We
what
don't,
it-
we
it
don't know
insinuates.
it's immediate.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that he
Well, he
doesn't.
was saying it right as they were flying away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It insinuates that that's where he's going to go. Because he heard from Beckett about this gangster
Named
making a
Jabba.
big job.
Yeah.
They didn't explicitly say Jabba.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
So that is Solo in 20 minutes.
What? I really enjoyed this movie. I liked all the graphic design that was around it, and I liked the presentation of the movie. I was never once bored.
I would say there were parts that drug on.
I didn't feel like that at any point. Like with the Avengers movie, there were moments, long moments, where I was ready for it to move forward. In this movie, I never ever felt that way.
There were, like, when they were having their little campfire scene,
I didn't.
and there was just exposition.
Nah, I didn't mind that at all.
That dragged on a little bit for me. But on the whole, it was...
The L337's dialogue was kind of obnoxious. She was kind of annoying. I
her.
felt like they tried to make her a little bit like K2SO, because K2SO is such a hit. And I realize she's a different droid, right? But she's
But
kind
the
of
second
annoying.
droid, well, I guess the third droid that's like super snarky. Because R2's snarky, you just can't hear it.
Right.
Well, Chopper's snarky.
Yeah.
Snarkier
Oh,
than
yeah.
R2.
All those,
They're almost all snarky.
yeah. Except for
I
C-3PO.
liked her. I thought she was funny.
Who?
L3.
L3?
Oh.
She was funny.
Yeah, I mean, she had humorous... I think some of the humor was really good. And then other parts of the humor was kind of lame.
What did you think of the character that played Han?
The character that played Han?
The actor, sorry.
I thought it was great.
He did a good job. I don't think it looked bad or awkward.
I did too. I didn't feel like he did too much to imitate him. There was like a couple minor things, like the way he held his mouth and such, but it wasn't major. I didn't feel like he was trying to do a Harrison Ford impersonation, doing a Han Solo impersonation.
No, I thought he was great. I thought...
it was a lot better than in the previews. That's for darn sure.
The first preview was not flattering for him.
No.
The second one was. I thought he was fine.
I didn't think it was. I thought Lando kind of stole the show.
See, I completely disagree.
I didn't think that he stole the show.
I think... Dang, Siri.
I thought that he was better than what I thought of him in the trailers.
See, I think the opposite.
I didn't really like him in the trailers, but I thought he was good.
I liked him less in the movie than I was hoping. But I liked Han and Chewie a lot more than I was expecting.
Well, Chewie's Chewie no matter what, right?
But he was way more a focal point than in other movies.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was
I hope
really
Chewie is the character that like continues on through all the episodes.
Well, he's already almost 200 years old, so
he can keep going.
Yeah.
When 900 years old you reach, look so good you will not.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, I thought I thought Beckett was really good too.
I did too.
It was like the prototypical.
It was just Woody Harrelson
character.
But I read some people online were like, "Oh, Woody does not belong in the Star Wars universe." It's like
I didn't.
Yeah, it was just.
I thought he was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Just another guy.
He is in a lot of movies.
He is.
Like he never stops.
And he plays the same character in every single one.
Yeah, he does.
He's in I just read a book called The Glass Castle, and he's in the movie adaptation of that. And he's just like in everything.
Yeah, he is.
In White Men Can't Jump, he played a different character.
He did, sort of.
It was still Woody Harrelson.
Still just Woody Harrelson.
That's funny. What would you think of Kira, like the character?
I was wondering at the end, is she somebody that you guys know later?
No, we don't know anything about her other than what we see in the movie.
Okay. I thought like, oh, maybe since she's with Darth Maul, now you know she's somebody else, like later down the road.
So the Crimson Dawn
she
don't
was
exist.
Unlikable because
except in this movie.
At the end, she kind of lies and not backstabs, but she abandons Han. And
but why do you think she does that? She does it to protect him. She knows that if she doesn't do what she did, they're going to be after her and him forever.
I don't think she did it.
I think there's an element of that.
I think she did it because she's already been in that. She's always had to she's always needed protection, and she's so far into that life that she had a chance to kind of raise up in it and not be running, and she was a little selfish. She just wanted it for herself, I think.
Yeah. I suspect that she has like more skeletons that she didn't obviously explain, because you never find out how she got off Corellia or how she even got involved with Dryden other than he helped her.
I mean, they implied it heavily.
They didn't.
I feel like they did.
I disagree.
Okay.
What do you think they implied?
Well, nothing I can say on this podcast that's family friendly. Which is probably why they didn't say it in the
Max
movie.
is so loud.
Yeah.
I think this might be he's too wiggly and loud for podcasting anymore. Nora's gonna take him. He needs his diaper changed.
Yeah.
And a bath. What? And wash behind his ears really good. Thank you.
Have Megan help you.
Get all the
Megan's already in bed.
the neck cheese.
Oh, he doesn't get neck cheese.
Yeah.
My other kids did, but they had bottles all the time. Max has never had neck cheese.
I don't know what neck cheese is.
It's when stray milk gets trapped in between their bowls.
Ew.
And then it curdles up and you got neck cheese.
That's so gross.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's one thing he does not have.
Yeah. So Kira.
I liked her. I liked her less at the end, but I don't think she was. I don't think she was like, I don't know. She's not like evil.
Yeah, she was very capable, but at the same time, she wasn't. She's like a foil to Rey.
I think she did have feelings for Han. I think she did.
Yeah, I think she did too.
Care for him a lot, but she cared for herself more.
I don't even know if it was that. I think she was just...
I really think she was just trying to stop everyone from having to run.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Including herself, which you guys made me help think of.
Yeah.
So, L337, Leet.
They only call her L3. They don't call her all those names.
They do at the very beginning when they first introduce her.
Every other time they just say L3.
Right.
Well, anyway, Leet is
nobody says that.
Part of the Falcon now.
Yeah, permanently.
And when in Empire, when C-3PO's like, "Oh, this ship speaks a strange dialect," it's L3 yelling at 3PO.
Maybe.
No, they confirmed it.
Yeah, they confirmed it on the Star Wars Twitter.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. There you have it. The Falcon is a her and does have a personality.
It made me. I mean, I know Lando was upset to lose the Falcon, but being that like this robot droid that he was in love with is now like permanently part of it, I thought he would be a lot more upset and try harder to get it back.
I think the opposite.
Hear me, babe.
He's like ready. He's like, yeah.
No, I think
he wants to move on.
Yeah, I think it would just reminds him of her, so he doesn't want to.
Well, it is her.
Sort of.
Parts. I mean, like
she was always just a machine.
Right, sort of.
Maybe how Lando got the Falcon disabled was he went in and sweet talked L3.
Yeah, that's the part that
in
doesn't.
Empire.
And like he piloted it for the Battle of Endor.
Well, he calls it baby.
Yeah. He does.
Old girl, stuff like that.
Oh, he called her girl when she was dying. He's like, I'm sorry, girl.
Yeah.
He was really upset when she died.
Yeah. It was sad face.
So is the young girl with the freckles she's kind of starting the rebellion.
She's a member of like a cell.
Yeah. Is she anybody that you like recognize?
Nope.
I thought again, like they made such a big deal when she took her masks off. Like,
well, the reason they made a big deal was because she was a teenage girl.
Yeah,
I know it was surprising that
guy,
but I still thought you were supposed to be like, oh my god, that's so and so.
So
she's the leader of the
way
rebellion.
They played it up on the trailers. The big theory was that Kira was Enfys Nest.
What?
And that she would like Enfys was the bad guy.
You thought that Enfys was the bad guy until like the very end. I mean, until she took her mask off and explained it all.
So going back to Crimson Dawn, you said we'd never heard of them?
Yes.
I thought we had.
No.
They're in comics.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No. That organization does not exist.
So what?
No, I know I've heard of them in the comics.
What did Maul lead?
He led the Syndicate.
Clone Wars.
And the Syndicate was like the Pike, the Hutt, and the Death Watch. But there was no Crimson Dawn.
I think I heard of them before.
Yeah, I feel like I need to look this up.
Okay, look it up.
I will.
While you're doing that, I'll read some emails. Oh, we haven't given our rating yet.
The only thing I will say I didn't like about the movie was like towards the beginning, like especially the very beginning, it was so dark. Like not dark content, like the screen was so dark. I could not see. Like I was like thought my glasses were bad because I saw it in 3D and I'm like,
oh, that would make it even worse.
I was like, I cannot see the screen. What is on the screen?
Because it was definitely dark, but it wasn't. I didn't have any problems. But we watched it 2D IMAX.
Yeah, it was dark.
Crimson, yeah, that is brand new for the movie.
I know.
Okay,
it's almost like
confirmed.
I said that.
So we should just read the solo emails.
That's what I was gonna do.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Why are you doing that?
I don't know. I'm just give me a piece of paper.
He's doodling directly on the surface of the old
IKEA.
What's
the name of it? It has a name.
I'm gonna call it
Strudel.
Doog Clout. This is a Doomclout, and the legs are probably like flatte.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's like FLOTTTEE. An absurd number of consonants. So we got to give it a rating, though. We haven't talked about the music. I've listened to the soundtrack a couple times. It's really good.
I was when I was watching the movie, I was thinking about the podcast, and I was like, Josh is going to say something about the music, and I literally have not even noticed any music. I don't think there's any music in this movie.
So
I was like, there's no music.
Of what I would call generic Star Wars-ish music. And they didn't have as much orchestration in parts of the movie. So, like, there was less music created for the film, but I mean, there's a soundtrack, and it's got a lot of stuff.
I didn't listen to it.
It's pretty good.
The soundtrack. But I kind of remember like a theme that kind of reminded me of...
So there was a new Han theme that John Williams wrote. And...
John Williams collaborated on this soundtrack?
Yeah, he made this track.
Or are you...
This is The Adventures of Han.
Yeah.
It's very,
very adventurous.
John Williamsy.
Reminds me of Indiana Jones, kind of.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tracks like that. But then there's like this was probably the most... The Marauders theme song is probably the most memorable new thing.
Yeah.
Because it had that chorus. It's pretty cool theme song.
So this is a Star Wars book called Choose Your Destiny, a Han and Chewie adventure, introduced the crime organization called the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, that book came out right after the movie came out.
Yeah, we have it on audiobook if you want to listen to it and then review it on the podcast.
It's 8 pages.
Oh. Is it?
Yeah, it's like a kid's name your own adventure book.
Okay.
It's not 8 pages, but I mean, you get the point.
That's funny.
Well, maybe I didn't get it. I thought I did. I really, really, really like this movie. It's times like this I wish I could give half ratings, but I'm going to give it a 9. Because I can imagine a better movie, but it'd be really hard to do.
Like, this is probably the best moment in the soundtrack. You don't remember that part?
No.
You don't remember that part?
Nope.
Is that when she takes her mask off and stuff?
Right before it, yeah. When they reveal the emphasis there on Savarine. That's the planet. So you gave it a 9?
Yeah.
I don't know where that puts it in the old ratings.
I would say an 8.5.
I've gotten harder on my reviews as time has gone on. I think I gave Rogue One a 10. But I think I actually like this better than Rogue One.
I think I like parts of it better. Like, it's just a more fun movie.
The space battle in Rogue One is hard for me to do anything about.
And it's the other problem is, like, the story in this one is inconsequential in every way, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Other than
it tells us what happened with how we got the Falcon, how we got Han.
Whereas Rogue One, the plot is way more consequential. Yeah, so let's see. You've given 10s to everything.
All the movies?
Yeah.
Did I give a 10 to Jedi? Return of the...
I don't have The Last Jedi on here. I have to update it. But Rogue One, you gave a 10.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, your ridiculous rating scale really kind of burning you.
You need to do like decimals, so you can do 9.9997 or something.
I can't do it.
All right.
9 lightsabers. Loved this movie. Absolutely loved it. And in fact, all of our listeners should go watch it another time or two just to pump the box office numbers so people stop calling it a flop.
One of the reasons that we are recording so late is because we had tickets to go the weekend it opened.
Not the Thursday. The night
Friday
of,
night.
Because that was Yana's going away party.
Yeah, but Friday night. But that was the week that Max was having 102, 103 fevers for like 5 days straight, and it just wrecked my life. So I couldn't leave. And so I just was able to go today.
Yeah.
But
a week and a half later.
I was so bummed because I was more excited to go see this than
Yana's going away party.
No, then that was another thing I was
Yeah, you missed that.
Oh my god, I was so sad.
And then you didn't get to go to Chicago.
Yep. I was so sad the week that he was sick because Yana's family was here visiting. It was her last week, like staying in our house, and I couldn't even spend time with anybody. I missed a lot of things when they were here, but I got to go to her graduation, but I missed her going away party that I planned and did everything for.
Not everything. I took care of it.
You took care of it that day because I couldn't go. You didn't do anything up before the day of.
What else needed to be done?
You had to make a Facebook group.
I had to rent the room. I had to invite people.
I'm just kidding. Chill out.
Oh my gosh.
I almost got a drink thrown in my face.
Josh got a cake with a German.
I got 3 cakes.
Saying
thank
on
you
it.
for doing that.
You did?
Very much.
Anyway, that was a really super depressing week, and I got behind. I had to miss an entire week of work. I got behind with school. I've never had to turn in an assignment late in the over 3 years that I've been in this stupid program. And
so if you were home the whole time, why did you get behind on school?
So when it first started, when his fever first started, it was like I had 5 things due that day. I had everything done before he started getting real sick, and then the last thing was just like a really hard assignment for me anyway. And I could not put him down, and he was like inconsolable. He was he couldn't sleep. He was like uncomfortable.
Yeah, he couldn't
had a
breathe.
fever.
He was miserable.
It was awful. Oh my gosh, it was making me question everything in my life.
Yeah, she quit school.
Not yet.
For a semester. Oh, you're going to quit the rest of the way after your break?
What?
You're taking a semester off. You said not yet.
Yeah, because I'm still in a semester.
Oh.
I have like 10 weeks left.
Let's get to emails.
I have to give my rating. I will give it. So I said Rogue One was incrementally higher than The Force Awakens. I think this is incrementally lower than The Force Awakens. So I'll give it an 8.3.
Okay. At least Josh is consistent.
What did I do for Rogue One and The Force Awakens?
For The Force Awakens, you gave it a 9.8. For Rogue One, you gave it a 9.5.
Yeah. And you don't have The Last Jedi in there?
No.
I would probably, if I was doing more, this is probably more like an 8.8.
8.8?
Yeah.
So slightly better than The Empire Strikes Back, which you gave an 8.5.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
There you have it. Solo. This is emails from Randall. You can be read on the air eventually. Letters at StarWarsNerdsUnite.com.
And we're bypassing the queue.
You've not been skipped forever. We will get back to you, but we're wanting to talk about Solo on this Solo episode. Randall says, "What's up, nerd leaders? Man, what a night. Midnight show of Solo, a Star Wars story, celebrating both the release of a new Star Wars and my dad's B-Day. BT dubs. This goes without saying, but spoilers. Woo, what a movie. Solo was an amazing movie that honestly exceeded my expectations. I really liked the way they did the movie as they answered the questions that the director was bold enough to open up, like introducing a new character, showing how Han got the Falcon to the way it was, and even how Han met Chewie. Showing how the Falcon got to the wrecked way it was, and showing the real effect of the slavery on Kashyyyk was done, in my opinion, almost perfectly. Now to my notes. Did anyone see the cameo appearance of R2KT on the spaceport in Corellia and on Kessel? Although it was for nearly 2 seconds, I had time to notice. And in my loudest whisper, I said to my dad, R2KT! However, my dad, not knowing the wider Star Wars universe, he didn't know who she was. L3 also shows the real effect of the droid oppression starting the rebellion on Kessel. I did not see R2KT. Did you guys?
I wasn't. I didn't notice it. The only weird maybe cameo I noticed is like in the second Sabacc game at the end of the movie. There's a person sitting next to Lando that looks exactly like Dr. Aphra.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. I found out where those fire trucks are going, though.
Where?
There's a huge fire on Irish Lane. It's like towards Morton, like a side country road towards the blacktop. Somebody said they heard they called in 6 other fire departments to help. Somebody said they heard it might be a hog barn.
Hog barn.
On fire.
Bacon.
Yeah.
Gross. Ooh, that'd be awful.
I know. That's really sad.
What a downer. Thanks a lot. L3 also shows the real effect of the droid oppression starting the rebellion on blah, blah, blah. Best line by far, Lando, what do you want? L3, equal rights? I cracked up and laughed for 5 minutes. Also, am I the only one who thinks L3 is the most fragile droid ever? One shot and she goes down crashing and breaking? Darth Maul's surprise appearance was totally unexpected, but it helps to fill up his timeline of what he was doing in between Clone Wars and Rebels. I also spotted his lightsaber. Shout out to Icy Spidey. And you could see Savage Opress side of the saber. However, other than the surprise cameo, I realized that this is the first movie where the Force or lightsabers were not shown. But I also like that because in Star Wars we are crammed with the mystical power of the Force that we rarely see people doing anything big without the Force. However, the middle movies, in between the PT and OT, show that even without the Force, you still can take on a bigger enemy. I love the Moa scene, showing how the Falcon got to the way it was, from singular cannon...
It's the Maw.
Oh, okay. Singular cannon to quadruple cannons, from square radar dish to circular dish. BT dubs, Han did cheat in Sabacc for the Falcon.
He didn't cheat. He prevented Lando from cheating.
Right. In the Maw, could that squid creature be a Purgle? It looks like it is, and it would make sense geography as coaxium seems to be the fuel for hyperspace jumps, and the Purgle was the original hyperspace travelers. It also shows its tentacles having spark-like things in them.
I don't think it was a Purgle, but it's just some space creature. It's more similar to that thing in the Han Solo comic.
I think that the big shot gangster that Beckett was making a crew for and on Tatooine is none other than Jabba the Hutt. Knowing that Han in A New Hope was heavily associated with Jabba, this would make sense time-wise. Did anyone else notice the helmet Beckett wore on Castle was the same helmet that Lando wore in Return of the Jedi while saving Han from Jabba?
Yep.
I did notice that, but I forgot to mention it.
I did not.
I really like Tobias Beckett's character, showing basically the true meaning of a neutral character, flipping sides. I loved Alden Ehrenreich's performance of Han right from the start. You could see his overconfidence and how he over-exaggerated a lot of his sentences. His smirk and overconfident grin were perfect. Anyway, I hope this reaches reactions episode, and I hope you have a very eventful and happy summer. I hope baby Max gets better and you all stay happy and healthy. Sorry for being disorganized. My early morning mind is not working properly. Thanks for reading this. May the Force be with you. Also, I forgot, out of 10 lightsabers, Solo for me was about 8 out of 10. I have little qualms with it, but it's too small for it to be relevant, so I'll leave it there. Anyway, may the Force be with you.
Is there anybody that's like being super negative about it? Like,
next email. I will.
Who is it?
Angry Farmer.
I was just gonna say, no way.
Before you dive into my letter, a word from our sponsors. In Saw Gerrera's kitchen, Jin, Urso. Oh, you're supposed to read this.
Saw these pancakes just don't rise like they did when we was a kid. What kind of milk are you using?
Am I supposed to say that?
Well,
Yeah, it's voiced by Jen.
Is Jen your name?
It's just normal Nerf blue milk.
We used to use Thalasiren green milk. This was much better than Nerf blue milk, and it didn't make my tummy rumble.
I'm sorry, Jen, but will green milk kill me for getting the wrong milk?
Of course not. It tastes better and is good for you.
If you want a better tasting and less gassy milk in your diet, look for Octo Green Milk in the dairy section of your local grocery store.
Got green milk?
That was an ad by Angry Farmer.
Oh, I was confused.
So it was simply an okay story. It wasn't bad, but there wasn't a lot to write home about. But there was apparently a lot to write
About?
letters at Star Wars Nerds Unite about. So what did we learn? The title of the movie and one of the 3 primary characters in the Star Wars universe has a random last name because he was alone. Maybe we'll learn more about his family name at some point, but not for now. From a societal point of view, this reflects our current society, as a family name seems less important than it had in the past. The movie moved along at a pace that was confusing to the casual fan. Was it?
I'm not
Did
a
you
casual
talk-
fan.
Did
I
you
wasn't
talk to
confused.
Yana's parents about it at all?
Oh, they loved it. They thought it was great. They thought the action was good. They thought the story was good. They could barely speak English, and they loved the movie.
Well, I don't think it would be that confusing.
I brought Nora with me,
Yeah.
who is not a Star Wars fan at all. I kept asking her if she liked it, and she's like, "Well, I mean, I didn't know what was going on," and I'm like,
So there's a point
And
for Angry Farmer.
and I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, she thought that this was like a sequel or something." I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
"You
what
didn't-"
everyone assumes.
I was like, "You didn't have to know anything. This is the very beginning." And she's like, "Where were the porgs?" That was the only thing she had to say.
Oh, that's great.
So she was confused, but she is very much less than the average fan.
She's a casual fan.
She knows
She's not a
nothing.
casual fan.
She's not
She-
a casual
She's
fan.
a casual human
She
being.
actively disliked Star Wars.
She just went because I asked her to, and she had nothing to do.
Why did he join the Empire anyway? He could have just hopped on a freighter and made it off-world.
I felt like he was surrounded, and that was like the only exit he could get to without probably getting caught.
Yeah.
And I thought he could get some better pilot training there or something.
Yeah. I wasn't too beat up about it. Nothing from his past or his training seemed to indicate they did any flight training or in any way had any experience flying other than a hovercraft, which is essentially a car.
I was surprised that like his whole thing is about being a pilot, and that didn't show
So what
like, anything that happened in the Navy.
He was in the Navy.
Yeah, but it didn't show
Right.
anything about it or give
So
you.
I was reading an article about cameos because Ron Howard has his famous cameos, like his brother and his wife and stuff.
Oh yeah, I did notice his brother.
Yeah. So apparently there was a whole scene where he was in the Navy, the Imperial Navy, and it explains why he gets kicked out of the Navy. But then they ultimately cut it for the final edit of the film because they just didn't think it was that necessary. So I'm sure it'll be on the DVD, as it were. So yeah, there was some stuff explaining his naval experience, but it got cut.
And wait a minute, why is the Navy
Because
a flight school?
Because it's Star Wars. Who cares?
Yeah,
they just
it's
decided the
ships.
Navy is the starships.
Okay. I just realized
I don't know.
that.
It makes sense to me. There's boats in space.
Okay.
That's how they treat them. They all have names. They always act like they're commanding.
I guess I never
ships
really
of
thought
the
about it.
line, stuff like that. Anyways,
But Navy just means
to the person in the future, in this space,
what is the word? Isn't navient a word? doesn't that-
navient?
Yeah.
I don't know. You have a phone? Tell us what the definition of navient is. It's not a Latin word. I can tell you that.
It's a company.
Maybe I made it up in my head.
He didn't seem to learn much at the Imperial Academy either, as he was moved to the ground forces after flunking out of flight school. So he didn't flunk out of flight school. I think that's what this scene would show. It was that he wasn't willing to do...
Oh, it's my student loan company.
Yeah.
So
one of the many.
The route of Navy is Navient, which is a student loan administrator.
Oh God, I've got.
Also, his skills as a gambler seemed to be miraculous. Nothing indicated that he had played much, if any, sabacc until he went into the casino in search of Lando.
I would think his upbringing on that shady planet, having to be on his own so long, that would help with the.
It's the same problem that we had with Rey, right? Rey knows how to do things, but because we aren't explicitly shown why she knows how to do things, the simplest thing to say is, this makes no sense. How does she know how to fly ships?
Yeah, but playing a card game isn't that...
Yeah, it was worse with Rey.
That's not like a superhero power.
Han was doing things that he arguably could have been trained on how to do already. Rey wasn't.
You think he was getting a lot of starship training as a scamp and street rat on the streets of Corellia?
No.
All right, so it's not any more believable.
But he was in the Navy for a couple years.
But he was supposedly a great pilot before he was in the Navy, right?
He claimed to be one. I'd never believed for half a second he was. He was just saying, I know I'll be good at it.
Okay, so the point stands that they're both... We don't have a true origin story for either of them. And so you just kind of have to believe that they have experience, even though we don't see.
We learned Rey's flight experience, at least.
Right. I'm sure there's some side book that's going to explain
Han's gambling
promise. And why
maybe that's what he learned from his dad.
Maybe.
All right, let's get going here. We got a couple more emails to read.
Yeah, we're going. If he was so good at cards, maybe he could have found an easier way to get off Corellia.
That's a valid point.
A personal note, one of my many jobs is that I write a monthly for Anti-Up magazine. He sent a link to his article. Anti-Up is apparently a poker magazine.
Oh, that makes sense.
I've played a lot of poker in my life in many forms. In all of these various games, if you say, I see your bet, then you cannot raise the action. It seems to happen in Solo and other movies that players make this announcement, I see your bet, and raise you 5 million or whatever. It drives me crazy how wrong this is. Which brings me to the point of Lando being a full-fledged card cheat. It's the lowest form of scum. When discovered in the end of the movie, this will get you killed. Maybe not in a galaxy far, far away, but you would on Earth, and I have been in some wretched poker rooms. It's odd that Lando accused Han of cheating him out of the Falcon for years to come. The problem with the movie is that there was no major climax. Nothing blew up or changed the universe in any particular way.
Ooh, I like that. There was no floating weird thing in the middle of
the stakes
sky.
were low.
I was cool with that.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. After all that running around, Han got off his homeworld and had some kind of ship. He had to get the Falcon in some means, but all it did was to put Han, Chewie, and the Falcon together. As for Kira, having a conversation with Maul at the very end, this is only going to confuse people. This guy was cut in half and fell down a chasm, way back in episode 1. He says about 30 years before this movie. I don't know if that's the timing. It's close. I think it's maybe 15 or 20 years.
Sorry, I was reading Annie-Up magazine.
It doesn't really help with the continuity of Star Wars story as a whole. I would say at the same time it's a callback to fans of the animated series where Maul has played a big role and everyone knows why he's back. To sum up, I would give this a 7 out of 10. It was good, but far from great. Angry Farmer signing out.
He wasn't that harsh.
That's the most negative I've read yet.
Thanks for the email. This one's from Wilson. He says, hey all. Sorry not been in touch in a while. Been super busy having 2 kids now. It's really hard work. Haha. Yes. I, on the other hand, would kill for only 2 kids. My thoughts on Solo are positive. I enjoyed it more than The Last Jedi, but not as much as Rogue One. Chewie, for me, stole the show. Thought the guy that played Han was better than I thought he would be, to which was a nice surprise. I did not like the droid L3. Thought the writers tried to make her funny like K2SO was, but she just annoyed me. Didn't like Kira either. She also annoyed me.
Everyone's annoying in this movie.
Also, love the mention of Bosk and the Maul cameo. I forgot to talk about Bosk.
Bosk.
Anyway.
What?
What's Bosk?
He's
Trandoshan.
the Trandoshan bounty hunter that's on the bridge of
Empire Strikes Back.
I can't remember the name of the executor.
Much fiction has been written about him.
Yeah, he's very famous.
He was in Rebels too.
Yeah.
When did they mention him?
Val mentioned that they could hire Bosk
Oh.
instead of letting Han and Chewie come with him.
Anyway,
They also mentioned Aura Singh. Sorry to cut you off.
That's
Beckett
okay.
killed Aura Singh.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Anyway, hope you all are well and little Max is doing well. Keep up the great work. May the force be with you, Wilson.
Nora just brought him back.
He's back.
She's had enough of him already.
I don't blame her.
Jesus
Kids are the worst.
took the time to color code
Yeah.
his email.
All right, I'll read it.
Go for it.
I loved this movie. I didn't. Oh, this is on Solo and a Boba trilogy idea. I didn't know I could cry, laugh, but that was all I did throughout the movie. It was so fun and silly in the best ways possible. And also that last surprise. The things I loved. It was a straightforward story, just straight up adventure that didn't really slow down and didn't take itself too seriously. It had depth. Despite being a heist movie, it still managed to capture the Star Wars magic and add to the mythos. Nods to hot rod racing and American graffiti. Although very predictable, Han and Chewie's meeting and Chewie being called the Beast. Rio. I don't know what Rio is a reference to.
Nor do I.
Maybe he meant something else? I don't know.
The movie about birds.
Yeah, I don't know. Donald Glover nailed Lando. And I loved his relationship with L3. It expanded his character to not only be a ladies' man, but a pansexual human. More Captain Jack from Doctor Who, and less 70s stereotypical suave man. L3 being part of the Falcon, the Kessel Run, and obviously Maul.
That was all in red.
So, wild prediction came true. Yay, I was right. In defense of things I've heard people complain about, but I think they work. These are, again, a list of things that, if they sound random, it's because it's just bulleted list, like the approved method of communicating.
The preferred method of email communication.
Enfys Nest reveal was awesome. It not only subverted expectations, but showed how desperate the rebellion was, and also showed another rebel faction. And I've heard people complain about Enfys being very young, but they don't have a problem with the farm boy blowing up the Death Star.
Boom. Served.
Lando's and L3's relationship. I think it worked, and L3 was a very different kind of droid, so of course Lando would find her attractive. I've said it before.
Of course he would.
We've had snarky and rebellious droids, but they were ultimately submissive to their masters. L3 did pretty much what she wanted to. She started a rebellion despite hindering the mission. She just wanted to do it. Maul. Okay, nobody has a problem with that. I just wanted to say Maul. Boba trilogy pitch. 3 movies set around Boba, but he's not the protagonist of the movies until the last one. Obi-Wan in, I'm going to call it light diarrhea color. A young Boba Fett takes on a bounty for a local Tatooine gangster. The bounty, a hermit making trouble for Jabba in the Dune Sea. To Boba's surprise, that the hermit is his old Jedi nemesis Kenobi. And Kenobi will do anything to protect his secret mission in Tatooine. Kenobi ultimately defeats Boba, but needs to keep his cover, so to avoid unnecessary attention, he offers Boba a deal. He lets him live if he tells Jabba that he took care of the hermit, thus boosting Boba's reputation as a bounty hunter. Maul, in red. Set right after the events of Solo, Crimson Dawn is expanding and encroaching on the Hutt Syndicate. So Jabba hires the deadliest man alive to put an end to the Shadow, Crimson Dawn's mysterious leader. Boba knows he can't do it alone, so he puts together a team of bounty hunters and criminals. It's the Star Wars Suicide Squad movie, but way better. Excuse me. Boba in forest green. Having just survived the Sarlacc pit, Boba needs to prove himself and the galaxy that he's still the deadliest man alive. Especially after being defeated by a blind Han Solo, the hero of the New Republic. So he starts hunting down the deadliest criminals and war heroes in this noir set in the galaxy far, far away. So those are my ideas for the future of Star Wars. I know, the longest email ever, but Solo. Nerd Cinco out.
Oh, Nerd Cinco. He's so creative.
I don't know. I don't think a Boba trilogy is going to happen.
I'd be okay if it didn't. I'll take these one-offs. I like the one-offs a lot.
I wish they'd just be different
Are
characters.
they doing a Boba one-off?
They were supposedly it was like supposed to be the movie that filled the slot that Han Solo did, and they had a director, writer, and they fired him, and it all fell apart.
So then they completely made a different movie?
Well, they had a bunch of projects like in parallel being developed. Like right now they have Benioff and Weiss, who are the producers for Game of Thrones. They have signed on to make some number of movies. Rian Johnson has a trilogy, supposedly, that he's developing. They've got Jon Favreau doing the TV show, the live-action TV show.
When does that come out?
Whenever their streaming service comes out. And then we've got Episode 9 going on. So, like, and then supposedly there's, like, an Obi-Wan movie in development. So they've got a bunch of lines out in the pond, and they just kind of pick, once they're fully developed, then they make it.
Prequel memes became just like such a thing for posting Ewan McGregor pictures
Oh my gosh.
that they actually banned Ewan McGregor memes, but it just caused more Ewan McGregor memes.
I'm sure.
Who
they would,
banned
like,
Ewan McGregor memes?
The mods.
of
So
prequel
they
memes.
started making like putting Mexican mustaches on-
to hide them.
on or like
Where
whatever.
were these memes?
Reddit, the prequel meme subreddit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think there will be some kind of internet revolt if Ewan McGregor does not reprise his role as Obi-Wan.
I
in the
hope
Obi-Wan
they don't
movie.
make an Obi-Wan movie. I
They're,
just don't.
they're going to.
But what is it? It's just there's nothing no story to tell. I read one article where like, well, they could just retell that Rebels episode and just leave Ezra out of it. Like,
Why?
what?
Why?
Why would you remake? It's just because he doesn't have a foe, right? Other
Darth
than
Maul.
Darth Maul.
Boba Fett.
he already. The first time he sees Maul again, he kills him.
Yeah.
That story's been told.
All right. Anyway, that's the end of our podcast. Thanks for listening to Star
Are those
Wars
all
Nerds
the
Unite.
emails from?
Those are
about
the ones
Solo?
we've gotten from specifically for Solo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought I saw more.
Will
than
you
that.
update the feedback so we
It's
remember?
all up to date.
Even with the solo ones?
The Solo ones I didn't put in.
But we've gotten other emails in between.
I have. It is all up to date.
Okay.
It's like 14 pages.
Yeah, I know. We got to catch up. It's like the motto of our podcast.
Yeah.
We need to catch up.
Well, you guys keep making babies,
Hey,
and then
you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to record. What's our normal recording day? I forget already.
It's supposed to be Tuesday.
Tuesday? I'm ready to record Tuesday. What are we doing?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You don't have anything scheduled that you're going to forget about until Tuesday night?
Nope. Oh, I have a meeting with the divorce lawyer. Forgot about that.
Man,
Oh,
Randall's
shoot.
gonna have like the worst day of school today.
All right. Follow us everywhere on the internet. Use our Amazon link to buy all your Amazon goodies and your bird feed.
Your 80-pound sack of pig feed.
Oh, pigs. It's too soon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Too soon. All right. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Did you hear that? We're doomed.
This podcast is a part of the BenView Network.
You can find this and other podcasts like it at BenViewNetwork.com.